Reading the courage to peer into the mirror of life. John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. Do you sometimes think of reading as a stuffy, boring activity? Or perhaps you feel you don't have the time to spare for a book in your busy life. We often wrongly assume that knowledge or culture is something only gained through formal education or reserved for exceptional people. But knowledge and culture are never far away. They are the power to understand the world around us, empathize with others' lives, and enrich our own existence. And one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to acquire this strength is through reading. Today, I'd like to introduce you to a book by Nobel Prize-winning author John Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath. Set against the bleak backdrop of the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl in 1930s America, this novel resonates deeply with our lives today, transcending time and place. You might worry, I'm not much of a reader, but don't let that stop you. I'll explain what this book is about, why we should read it, and the meaningful questions it raises for us in a clear and accessible way. 1. A time of despair, a barren land, and people seeking hope. The Grapes of Wrath is set during the tragic era of the 1930s American Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. The Dust Bowl was an environmental disaster caused by reckless farming practices that stripped away the soil and sent massive dust storms ravaging the Great Plains. Compounded by the global economic collapse, countless farmers lost their livelihoods and were forced from their homes in a single day. The novel centers on the Joad family, who, like others in Oklahoma and the surrounding plains, lost their farm due to drought, dust storms, and the greed of banks. Seeing a flyer advertising jobs in California, they load their belongings into a rickety truck and embark on a journey toward the promised land. This journey is far from easy. Route 66, the path to California, is filled with suffering and despair. Elderly family members perish, children fall ill and collapse, and people are exploited in overcrowded camps. The Joad's arrival in California, however, reveals a harsh reality. It is not a land flowing with milk and honey, but one rife with capitalist greed, endless competition, and prejudice against outsiders. Farm owners exploit the desperation of migrants, offering impossibly low wages, and firing workers when labor becomes abundant. The Joads roam constantly, struggling to survive. Through the influence of a former preacher, Jim Casey, Tom Joad begins to recognize social injustices and grasps the deeper meaning of living together in community. The novel ends tragically, yet powerfully. Amid a flood that destroys all they own and the birth of a stillborn child, Rose of Sharon offers her milk to a starving stranger, a profound message of human compassion and the sharing of life itself. 2. Deep questions raised by The Grapes of Wrath, implications. The Grapes of Wrath is not merely a story of America's 1930s tragedies. It poses timeless questions about humanity, societal structures, and how we should live. Even without reading the book, we can reflect on its relevance to our lives today through the following points. 2.1. Human dignity and the value of existence. I or we. The Joad family endures terrible poverty and humiliation. Dispossessed of their land, family, and dignity, they are labeled with the derogatory term Okie. Yet they refuse to abandon their humanity. Ma Joad fiercely protects her family, emphasizing their dignity and unity no matter the circumstances. Jim Casey's philosophy, arguing that all humans share one great soul and individual suffering is universal, becomes pivotal. Tom Joad, influenced by Casey, moves from self-preservation to understanding systemic injustices, declaring, "Any hungry man is my brother." This message broadens personal suffering into collective human struggle. Question for us in today's world: how much do we empathize with others' suffering? Amid growing inequality and individualism, do we prioritize ourselves over others? The book reminds us that human dignity is not tied to wealth or class and that unity among all people is crucial. 2.2. Inequality and the shadows of capitalism, an endless cycle of exploitation. The novel starkly reveals the dark side of capitalism. Farmers exploit migrant workers, ignoring their humanity. Laborers endure starvation wages and face job loss at the slightest complaint. When labor becomes scarce, owners deliberately attract more migrants to lower wages further. This exploitation stems not from a few corrupt individuals but from systemic flaws in capitalism. The novel exposes how banks and corporations seize land, fix prices, and manipulate the lives of the poor. The marginalization of Okies illustrates how prejudice and hatred toward the vulnerable spread easily. Question for us: is today's society much different from 1930s America? Are we still forcing precarious workers to sacrifice under the guise of economic efficiency? Are small businesses suffering under corporate dominance? This book warns that inequality, labor exploitation, and discrimination against the vulnerable are ongoing threats in capitalist societies. 2.3. The power of solidarity and community hope blooming in despair. The Jode's journey is lonely and tough, yet they encounter people who reach out. Shared meals, care for the sick, and collective grief highlight that humanity's greatest strength is solidarity. The Weed Patch Camp, run by the government, becomes an ideal community where migrants create rules together and uphold human dignity. The novel illustrates that anger is not merely destructive but can motivate resistance against injustice. When individual despair unites into a grape of wrath, it holds potential for societal change. Tom Joad's final message, "Alone, we can do so little, together, we can do so much," dramatically underscores the power of unity. Question for us: how connected do we remain with our neighbors? In a fast-paced, fragmented society, have we forgotten the meaning of solidarity? The book shows that no individual is strong enough alone to overcome adversity. Only by holding hands can we find hope in global challenges like pandemics, natural disasters, and economic crises. 2.4. The endless interplay of hope and despair. Life goes on anyway. While The Grapes of Wrath exposes a bleak reality, it celebrates human resilience. The Jodes continually seek hope, face despair, and rise again. Even when they lose everything, they strive to preserve family love and human dignity. Rose of Sharon's final act symbolizes life's miraculous beauty and the ultimate triumph of humanity's spirit. Question for us: life, at times, brings unexpected trials and despair. We often surrender or crumble in the face of failure. This book reminds us that, even in suffering and injustice, humans possess an indomitable vitality and hope to overcome and rise again. When we endure hardships, this book can offer profound comfort. Life goes on, regardless. 3. Why read The Grapes of Wrath now? The value of reading. John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath is over 8 decades old, yet its message is strikingly relevant to our lives today. First, it cultivates empathy. Reading allows us to experience others' lives indirectly. By sharing in the Jode's pain and hope, we reflect deeply on the suffering of neighbors leading different lives. This empathy broadens our understanding and reduces prejudice. Second, it broadens our perspective. The novel shows how individual misfortune stems from societal structures and systems. It reveals that issues like inequality, labor exploitation, and social exclusion are not confined to a particular era but persist in various forms today. This insight prompts us to critically examine the world and consider how to build a better society. Third, it discovers the greatness of the human spirit. The Jode family's struggle to preserve dignity and seek hope in hopeless situations moves us deeply and inspires courage. The book reminds us that humans can overcome even the harshest conditions through love, solidarity, and hope. We live amidst economic hardship, climate change, growing inequality, and social conflicts. The Grapes of Wrath shows these challenges are not new and provides wisdom from the past to help us overcome current difficulties. It conveys a message of hope: we can build a better future by supporting one another and fighting injustice. 4. Conclusion: the power of a single book, the courage to change life. How do you feel, dear readers? The Grapes of Wrath is not just a novel. It is a grand story encompassing life's pain and beauty, despair and hope, and the strength of the human spirit. While this article cannot convey all the book's depth, I hope it has planted a seed of curiosity in your heart. In our information-saturated world, true knowledge and culture go beyond mere accumulation of facts. They involve deeply understanding the world and establishing one's values. Reading is essential to this process. You might find reading difficult now, but I encourage you to give classic works like The Grapes of Wrath a try. Initially challenging, the book will lead you to an entirely new world and a deeper reflection on your own life. The Grapes of Wrath reveals the greatness of human existence in tragic circumstances, stimulates critical thinking about societal inequality, and ultimately delivers a powerful message of solidarity and hope. I sincerely hope this book opens the doors to your knowledge and culture, deepens your understanding of the world, and grants you the courage to live a more fulfilling life. I firmly believe that one book can indeed transform your life.